Am I the asshole for telling my SIL to walk her daughter to school? I, F23, am a university graduate and live at home with my mother. She owns the house with a mortgage that's been fully paid off. I pay her rent, around half of the market rate for our area, and do most of the housework. Me and my mother both work a lot. I work in healthcare and work irregular shift patterns, and my mom is self-employed and occasionally has to travel for work. My brother, M31, his wife Rose, F31, and their daughter, F6, moved back into our mom's house on Friday. They got a mortgage on a home, but it turned out to have a lot of maintenance issues, the biggest ones being with their toilet and shower not functioning. Also, their heating doesn't work. It's estimated to take at least a month to fix everything, so in the meantime they're staying here. Rose came to me and asked if I could take their daughter to school, as her school is a 5-minute drive from the hospital. Normally their neighbor, who has a child the same age, would take her to school, but that's no longer an option. My brother works full-time and his shifts clash with doing this. He starts at 7 a.m., and he and Rose share a car, as she only works one shift a week on Sundays. I told Rose that I can't commit to taking my niece to school every day. She needs to be dropped off at school for 8 a.m., and sometimes I'm doing overnight shifts that don't finish until 9, 10 a.m., or I'm doing shifts that start really early in the morning. Rose got a bit upset and asked why I can't just explain to my boss that I need to be available for school drop-off. She didn't wait for an answer and said she knows it's not that simple, but she needs me to help her. In my job, if you start requesting restricted availability, they will give you way less shifts. I couldn't understand why Rose wouldn't walk her daughter to school, as it's a 15-minute walk from our mom's house to get there, with no hills and plenty of safe crossings. Rose and their daughter don't have any health conditions that would make this not doable. I asked Rose why she wouldn't walk her daughter to school, and she said that is too far to walk with a young child. I showed her the distance on Google Maps. I assumed she wasn't aware of how close it was, and she reiterated that it was too far. I said to Rose I think that's her best option, but I cannot take her daughter to school every day. Later that day my mom told me that Rose came to her really upset that I refused to help. My mom said she knows I normally work irregular shifts, but that it'd be a really nice thing for me to do. I feel like I'm going crazy because when I was a kid I went to the same school, and my mom walked me there and back from this house. I said no, and my mom said that's fine, I understand. Now I've got my brother calling me selfish, and he said it's a small ask that even their neighbor could do it, and I'm refusing. Am I really such an asshole? Not the asshole. If your brother is so adamant that shifting your work schedule is such a reasonable request, tell him to change his own. As her dad, he should be stepping up. If he can't change his work schedule to accommodate it, why would you be able to? Who gets to leave early for school drop-offs? Your SIL needs to stop being lazy. Rose can drive her husband to work, and then she'll have the car to drive the kid. Not the asshole. Not your child. Her parents need to figure it out. The entitlement, wow. Can you please change your schedule and possibly risk your job to take my daughter to school because I'm too lazy? Just yuck. Stand your ground. You're the only sensible person on this scenario. Not the asshole. By their own logic, the father of the children could shift his schedule to drop off his child. How's the kid getting home? Walking. Rolling on the floor laughing. Not the asshole. It's her daughter, not yours. Your job is your priority. Her child should be her priority. That's all there is to it. You are absolutely not the asshole. P.S. You may need to explain to your mom about getting fewer shifts if you limit your availability. In financial terms, am I the asshole for walking out of the restaurant and leaving my friend? My girlfriends and I went to a restaurant 2 days ago. I was the designated driver. I ordered my meal and they ordered their meal. I went to take a picture of my plate, and before I could even take the picture, one of them used her fork and stirred up my food. I got upset and asked her why she would do that, and she told me it was cringe to take pictures of food. I could tell the other girls were uncomfortable, but no one stood up for me. All I wanted was a damn pic because my plate was presented beautifully. I got upset and just walked out the restaurant and drove home, leaving them behind. When I got home, I asked who paid for my meal and Zelled her the cost. They started texting me and telling me that it was just a joke. What I did was immature, and that it was wrong of me to leave them behind considering I was the driver. I do feel like I overreacted, but I also feel like what she did was mean. Am I the asshole? Edit. I did tell my friends I was going to leave. I don't want to be here anymore, then left. My meal was steak, gravy, mash, and caviar, and it had a hibiscus plant on it since people are assuming it was pasta. Not sure if that's important information or not. The girls who didn't stand up for me laughed at the situation awkwardly. I could tell they were uncomfortable, but they didn't say a word. The person who paid for my meal was one of the girls who laughed, not the person who stirred up my plate. I was only trying to take a picture of my plate. I wasn't holding anyone back from eating their food. In what world does a person have the gall to dig around in your fresh plate of food, mock you for taking a picture of it, treat your objection like it was a joke, and then expect you to entertain their disgusting company for the rest of the evening and to chauffeur them home? That person should be banished to live in a closed convent in the outskirts of Siberia till she learns how to use manners when interacting with others. You are not the asshole. And it was classy to pay for your food later. It's time to shed some people from your friends list. Not the asshole. That was a form of bullying, and you were absolutely in the right to not tolerate it. They weren't stranded. Rideshare exists. Hopefully they all learned a lesson. Where I'm from, no one, and I mean no one, better cross my plate with limb or utensil if they value their lives. It's rude, possibly unsanitary, and immature. Not the asshole. It literally doesn't matter if it's cringe. It was your food that you ultimately paid for, and would have just paid for as usual if they hadn't acted like children. Not the asshole, who TF even asked for her opinion. People who can't admit fault and turn into the victim aren't worth keeping around. Sad face. Not the asshole. She overstepped because she wanted to be asshole, and you decided you didn't feel like being bullied and left. Good for you. Am I the asshole for refusing to take home leftover food from a trivia night? My M23 girlfriend, F22, and our parents went to a trivia night together last night. Her parents brought a lot of food, which was very welcome and appreciated by everyone at the table. There were other drinks and some snacks that were available to all guests, but her parents brought enough to have a whole meal, of which I ate more than my fair share. It was overall a good night, and our parents get along very well together when we all go out. Skip to the end of the night, and her parents are deliberating on how much food they have left over and what to do with it. Her mom offers me a leftover charcuterie platter, which I accept gladly. However, she continues to offer me other food items that we either do not want or that my girlfriend and I do not have the fridge space for. I first try to decline politely, but her mom keeps persisting and trying to compromise with us to take it. It seemed very clear to me that she was trying to avoid taking anything home with her, which I understand, but we simply couldn't take more than what I had already accepted, or I knew we wouldn't eat some of the things she offered. She continues to prod, and even starts to hand the items to my girlfriend after I said no. I get visibly frustrated, but I bring up the fact that we have limited fridge space, and that we are already taking that food, and some other food items from the silent auction, home with us, so we cannot take any more. She tries to compromise by taking the food out of the container and placing it in the dishes we already have. She tells us that she brought the extra food with the intention of giving it to us afterwards, which she never told us about before. I sternly say, I said no, please respect that. Everyone gets quiet and looks at me uncomfortably. My dad comes up to me and says, it's a gift, you should accept it politely. In my opinion, it felt disrespectful, because it seemed more like she was trying to force me to take food that she didn't know what to do with after I said we couldn't take it. It was also strange, because although I understand the sentiment of giving away food to her daughter and her boyfriend, it was an absurd amount of food to expect us to take with us. I didn't want to start an argument, so I just took it and had to throw a good amount of it away. Am I the asshole? You ended up arguing about it and throwing it out later, when you had the option of not arguing about it and throwing it out later. Man shrugging. I agree she was pushy and presumptuous, but I think taking home a bit of extra food and throwing it out is such a trivial burden that it wasn't worth making everyone else in the room uncomfortable by sternly refusing it. Listen to your dad. You are the asshole. This is a good example of the difference between being right, you can refuse stuff, you didn't have the room, and being polite and a likable human. If you spoke to her mom like that, I'm assuming now everyone not only thinks you are the asshole, but are also rude as hell. She might have been misguided or a bit pushy, but to describe her as disrespectful is completely over the top. You chose the wrong hill to die on. Good luck fixing this mess. Ick. I abhor the insistence that enforce social contracts. I want to give a gift I insist you accept and be grateful because it's what I want should outweigh consent. No, thank you should always be enough. Anyone persisting against no meaning no deserves to be shamed. Consent matters in big things and little things. Respect and normalize people being allowed to say no. What was your girlfriend saying while this was going on? Soft, you are the asshole. Young people and very old people tend to drift towards a similar behavior pattern of stubbornly focusing on being right. Learn to take other people's feelings into consideration and just take the food. Bin it if you can't eat all of it. Am I the asshole for letting my teenage son attend dad's night for his youngest sibling? My 8-year-old Sam's school regularly has special person days for grandparents, father figures, and mother figures. It's extremely inclusive. Stepdads/grandfathers/uncles attend as well. For example, one of my son's friends is raised by his auntie and uncle, who attend the mother/father figure days. An older friend of mine attends the grandparent days with my kids, because my parents are 6 hours away. A few weeks ago they had an escape room themed night for father figures. It's sponsored by local men's organizations and very popular in our community. My older son attended with Sam, when Sam asked him to because Sam wanted to do the escape room. He was not the only older sibling there. The school posted photos to the Facebook page, and my ex-husband saw. He is claiming alienation and that I'm cutting him out of their lives. However, 1. He works away February 1st and can't come back outside of emergencies. 2. When the dates lined up a few months ago, he didn't take our youngest because he was too tired. So he couldn't have gone and didn't want to last time he was invited. I understand he's upset about missing out, but Sam shouldn't have to stay home just because dad isn't home. Am I the asshole for letting my son attend for Sam? I'm not worried about the alienation claims as I have records with all visitation and communication, and I pushed for 50-50 when we divorced, but he didn't want that. He is free to see the children as much as he wants, and he currently chooses 2-3 days of his week off. The kids have keys for both houses, and we are close enough that they ride bikes/take the bus between houses. And the older 3 always have spending money and full bus cards, so that's not stopping them from visiting. So are free to visit whenever. Before we worked away, he saw them every second weekend by his choice. Your ex isn't upset that he's missing out. He's upset because he's realized that he is replaceable in your 8-year-old's life. He's upset to realize that the 8-year-old has choice in who he sees as a worthy male role model. He's upset that, to be a dad to your son, he would have to put in effort. Not the asshole, and good on you for encouraging both of your sons to develop a healthy, trusting relationship. It will benefit both of them in the long run. What a wonderful event. And what a wonderful pair of sons you've raised. Not the asshole. Ignore your ex, he has the option to step up. He's just embarrassed that he's been seen for who and what he is. Not the asshole. Sam asked your older son to attend. He could have asked his dad, but knew he wouldn't come, based on past experience. Not the asshole. Your ex had the chance, so why is he mad? Not the asshole. Your ex is experiencing the results of his own choices. This is all on him, not you. Not the asshole. I'm just happy Sam has his big brother.